So I think we should start the session now. People will keep on joining. Hi guys, good evening and welcome to the webinar. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining us on today's session. My name is Rishika Omar and I am going to take few minutes of your time to explain you the ground rules and give you a quick introduction about what our company does, a brief introduction about our trainer, and then I will hand it over to our trainer to take this forward. So we have set certain ground rules for this webinar. You all are on mute mode and you will be unmuted at the end of the session for question answer round. During the session, if you have any query, you can type your query on the chat window and our technical team will answer that as soon as possible. This webinar will be recorded and we will be sharing the recording with you all for reference. Coming to the introduction of DevOps, now to give you a very quick introduction about what we do and who we are. We are basically globally recognized and the most trusted DevOps certification provider. We design DevOps certification program and award accredited certificates. Basically, our concept is to provide experiential DevOps learning for IT engineers and other IT professionals. Apart from this, we also provide career counseling, mentoring, training to the fresh graduates, postgraduates from different universities across the globe. You all can visit our website if you want more information on the same. So this is the slide wherein we are going to show you the on-spot offer which we are having on the course, DevOps course. So basically, we are providing you the link through which you can, get the instant 10% discount, which we are offering this discount only for the webinar day. We'll keep on sharing that link during the session also. So people, those who are interested in joining the course, this is the golden opportunity for you to get the avail the discount, which is valid for today only. Our next batch is going to start from 16th of July. So those who are interested can avail this offer, can click on the link which has been provided to you over the chat window, and you can avail this offer of 10% instant discount. Here are some of our customer testimonials, what our customers has to say about us. Have a look at that. Some more. So now coming to trainer, Jatin is basically having close to around 5 years of work experience. Trainers are the real-time industry practitioners who are having actually very rich experience on the fields like we have mentioned here, AWS, Azure, CICD Pipeline, Terraform, Ansible. So these are the expertise Jatin is having. So with this, I would like to hand it over to Jatin to take this forward. Jatin,
Thank you so much.
yeah,
Uh, just can you confirm? Can you hear me?
yeah, Jatin, you're audible.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So today, I hope all are here to study more about the continuous integration, continuous deployment, what is DevOps, and you all are eager to learn about the DevOps technologies. So in today's sessions, today webinar, we will discuss more about all those things. What is continuous integration, continuous deployment? Then we will also go through the continuous testing, and then we will check it out how the things work over here. So let me share my screen. Okay. So the first topic which we will cover about is a continuous integration. So like you all are coming up for the course of DevOps. So the basic thing which every interviewer and every company ask about the DevOps is what is continuous integration. So we will discuss about this first topic, what is continuous integration. So continuous integration is a deployment practice where developers integrate code into shared repository frequently, preferably several times a day. So if you can take an example, if you have a like a background from the coding part, or if you have a background as a student, so you must have heard about the Git. So Git is one of the technology. It's a term in which we store the code, and it is used for version controlling. So that is Git is a technology, but to use that technology, we have various platforms like you must have heard about GitHub, GitLab. In Azure DevOps, we have the repositories, and those repositories are also of two types. One is Git, another one is that is called a distributed, and then we also have a centralized. So example of those are like SVC or TFVC. Many more are there. So in a journal, what we do, what the developers do, they push their code into those repository that is a remote server. Usually they push it onto the Git, and after there, so we take up the code from that repository, and then we do run up a build process onto that repository. And once the package gets created, then it gets get deployed onto the servers. So if I tell you the complete integration into a diagram, so this will be here it looks like. So let's suppose you have a team, then you have a manager, you have a developer one, then you have a developer two. So what they do, they take a code onto their site, their local laptop, they make the changes, and they push that code onto the version controlling systems, either it is GitHub or either GitLab. So using the commands, so those commands, and we will and everything will we be taking care into the course. But in this session, I will tell you that we store the code into the Git, the version controlling system, and in that, once the code is saved and version is created, so we have a branching strategies into it like master, feature, and all. So don't worry if you're if once you will get into the course and all, you will discover all those things.
So what happens usually, the developer one, developer two works onto the same code, you can say same repository, and then they push that code into that repository. Once that code has been pushed into that repository, then it is ready to be deployed onto the servers. But before that, after pushing, so what happens? You have to build that. So like you must have heard about the for Java, you have a Maven and Gradle. These are the build tools, and also for the .NET, we have NuGet, Restore, we have different systems are there. And again, for the Python, you have a PyCharm. So we have a different ways to compile a different codes. So you have for Angular, then you need a NPM. You have a Nest.js, then you need a NPM. So there are different build tools which is required over there to build the packages. So if I tell you the example of the Java project, once you build the package, it will create a artifact, and artifact will be like a source code, the package which has been created. So if I tell you in a layman language, you must have seen when you download any file from or you download any software, you just get a exe file. So that is an executable file. So similarly, when you build up a code, an executable file gets created, and then we deploy that executable file to the servers. So server, it could be on a virtual machines, it could be onto the Kubernetes, or it could be onto the app services in Azure, or if you have a PaaS services. So all those things we will discuss under the sessions which we will cover up into the complete course. If I tell you the overall how the continuous integration works, so what happens, like developer has pushed his code onto the source control server. From there, it goes to the server, and server will build, test, and if it is succeeded, then it will go to the deployment. If it is failed, then again it will notify to the manager and developer that your build has been failed because of the code type. So what they will do, they will make the changes into the code and try to redeploy it. So this part which I'm telling you about is called as a continuous integration servers. This is a complete steps. Yes, a set of tasks has to be performed, and to do the continuous integration and testing and all, you have a several tools available into the market, which we will discuss which all tools are there. has been available into the market. But for now, if I tell you what are the tools available, an overview, we have Jenkins. It is an open source tool and free of cost. Even you can set up the Jenkins server onto your local machine, or either you can establish that onto the you can say virtual machine. So you can do that part anywhere. So other tools which I will tell you, I will come up over those as well. You have one Azure DevOps. In that also you create a CI pipeline, and then you also have Travis, and even nowadays GitLab is also providing you CI/CD tools, the options to create a CI/CD pipeline into the GitLab. So you can do in that way. So if I take you to the another what happens like once the package has been created, now it is ready to deliver. So what is a continuous delivery? Continuous delivery is an extension of continuous integration to make sure that you can release new changes to your customers quickly in a sustainable way. So this means that once your code has been built into the continuous integration, now that code is ready to deliver. How you will deliver? Is it like you will parcel it? No. Delivery means that you are deploying it onto some servers. So that is a continuous delivery. Even in some interviews, they will ask you the difference between a continuous delivery and deployment, which I will discuss in next slide. Uh, and even that is a major point which usually the interviewer asks from the freshers or even from the experienced people, that what's the difference between a continuous delivery and a continuous deployment. So usually we say it like continuous delivery and continuous deployment is also performed from the same tools from with which we have done the integration. It's just a concept like you say when you're building up the tool, it's called building up the package. It is called continuous integration. Now when you're deploying that package to the servers, then it is called continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So, if you tell you more about the continuous delivery, it aims at building, testing, and releasing software with greater speed and frequency. The approach helps reduce the cost, time, and risk of delivering changes by allowing for more incremental updates to application in production. If I tell you more about continuous delivery, however, if you truly want to get benefits of continuous delivery, you should deploy it to the production as early as possible. So now, in a complete setup till now, if I take an overview, what you have done, first thing has been done over here is that the code has been saved under the, you can say, the version control that was a Git. From the Git, the continuous integration process was executed. Once the continuous integration process has been ran successfully, a package will be created and that package will be deployed onto the servers. So that is a complete concept of continuous integration and deployment or delivery. So if I tell you more about the differences between the continuous integration and delivery or deployment, what happens like in case of continuous delivery, first you build, test, acceptance testing, deploying to staging, deploy to production, then you have a smoke test. So now in this process, if you check it out, the orange or yellow color means that you are deploying it manually. So when you create a particular project or any of the pipeline, usually what happens, uh, you do a continuous integration automatically, but deployment part you always take a like a approval. It you do a manual process. Manual process means that set of tasks is already pre-configured. Just you have to go over there and click on run, and it will automatically deploy. It doesn't mean that you have to copy paste and do every process again and again. It just means that you have to first click onto that run process and it will deploy. Why we give it a manual process and not always automatic? Because usually what happens, like you have a production servers, you also have a testing servers or QA servers. These are called the different stages. Stages means, like if I tell you in a layman language, when a product comes into a market, it goes to the several phases, because until it is confirmed that the product is perfect, you will keep on testing it on your end, because customers need a good end product. You can't test it on until you don't have a good product, you can't deliver it to the customers. So you can take an example of anything like cars, or you can say anything into the world. But in the software world also, it's like you do a testing onto different servers. Uh, for testing, if I talk about the stages like testing or staging or QA, those are the servers on which internal team test, like internal employees test. But onto the production servers, you can say the final end users are working on those production servers. So we have to take a precautions that they are getting a good environment or getting a good responses. So usually to avoid these situations, like what happens, like there is a one developer, he was working onto his code, he has pushed his code to the Git, and continuous integration was ran because of automation, and then it got deployed to the production. If it is done over there automatically, then it will create a issue. Why? Because it may happen that developer was testing on its end, correct? A developer was testing on its end for check it out whether the things are working fine or not, but by mistake it got deployed onto the production server, but that was not ready to be delivered to the customers. So to avoid such situation like continuous deployment part, we always take a continuous delivery because we need a manual process into it. We don't want to come in a situation that customers are blaming us that you have deployed the incorrect one. Although this we have taken care of all those things, so situations of this deploying the code into the production server comes very less. It comes if it comes, it is by mistake of some person, but we avoid the situations if I tell you about myself and even my team. So this is about the continuous delivery and deployment. Now, if I talk about the pipelines, what is a CI/CD pipeline? CI means continuous integration. CD means continuous deployment or delivery. That is a pipelines. So pipelines means that you have a set of tasks, and your code goes to that set of tasks, and then it goes to the production server or any of the servers. If you see my screen, so in this one you have a code. This code is onto your local. Now, once you have pushed that code from your local to your remote server, okay, now what will happen once it is pushed to the remote server? It will automatically. So actually what happens if you have a Git or you have a tools like Jenkins and all, you integrate between them. You will create a connection between them, and automatically these servers have a triggers. What does a triggers means? It is an action and reaction. Action means that somebody has performed something and then it will do that thing. It means like it is a reaction. So as soon as the developer will push its code onto the remote server, automatically it will detect that something new has been changed, and it will directly go from the commit, it will go to that particular steps. So under the CI pipeline, like I told you, there are two type of pipeline, CI and CD. In CI pipeline, you have set of tasks. Under this set of tasks, it will build unit testing, integration testing. I- If I tell you about CI pipeline, there are several other steps are also done. If you heard about Sonar Cube, Sonar Cloud Analysis, there are several other steps which we will discuss under the course more in detail and do a hands-on activity on those as well. But just an overview into a CI pipeline, we do a build, unit test, then we have an integration test. That is a CI pipeline. Then from the CD pipeline, you have a review. Like what does the CD pipeline means? You are deploying onto the different stages, different pipelines. So first thing will be it will be deployed onto the review. Review stage means that it's a personal servers. Personal servers means your own machines. If it fail on your personal machine also, then it doesn't matter. You will rebuild your code and it will not affect anyone. You will not get any issues or anything. So once it is done, it goes to the next stage onto the staging. On a staging servers, you can say there are different servers than the review servers. In this staging servers, you have a higher configurations, machines will be different, and then the people those are accessing those servers will all can also differ because they are different QA team or different members are there into that team or company. They will test it out. Once we get the approval from large number of people that it is working fine and all testing is done, then it goes to the production. On review and staging, you will see that the code is deployed too frequently, but onto the production, it goes in once in a month or or in 2 months. So it depends upon project to project. It doesn't mean that I'm saying 15 days, so it will be 15 days. Okay, so that is a DevOps CI/CD pipelines. So if I talk about continuous integration and delivery benefits, what are the benefits of it? So like I have given you a lot of information on CI/CD. Now you will ask me, what are the benefits of it? So first, a benefit is like smaller code changes. One technical advantage of continuous integration and continuous delivery is that it allows you to integrate small pieces of code at one time. So what does it mean that if you have a you have made some changes into your repository, the code. If you have made a smaller change also, and then you have pushed that code into that repository. So what will happen? It will still execute that pipeline. So CI pipeline, and so what will happen? Even if you put up a space, then also it will run that pipeline. So smaller code changes also gets reflected, and then it will work. Other advantages, fault isolations. Fault isolations means refers to the practice of designing systems such that when an error occurs, the negative outcomes are limited in scope. So it means that when you have a fault, like if you have some issues into your code, it can be caught in earlier stages. So if you have some issues into your code, it will be catch up very frequently. And one of the advantage of this one is like if you run it on your local, then it may happen that you have set of softwares and it was working fine on your local, but the same configurations it may happen is not available onto the servers, so because of which it is failing. So if it is working on your local, it's not working onto server, then there is a issue. If a developer says it's running on my end but it's not running on server, so it's not you will not say that it's not a developer issue. It could be of anything, but as a developer and DevOps engineers, you both have to work together. So after that, once you're done the continuous integration benefits, the one more advantage comes into this one is more testing, implementing continuous integration, delivery ensures more automated testing, which helps to improve the quality of product. So earlier manual testing was performed. Now these days, all those things has been done automatically. So you must have heard about Selenium testing for the QA part. So these automation testings also goes again and again because it goes from several phases. Then the another advantage of it is it reduces the cost. How it will reduce the cost? Because it will save the time. It will also reduce the number of errors that can take place in many repeated steps. So sometimes what happens, like if you're a human being, if you're performing the same steps again and again, still there is a chance that you will bring up the concerns, or you or some issue will come up if you're doing it manually. Why? Because you're a human. Sometimes you let's suppose you're running up a command one time, two time, three time, and you for in a fifth time you forget to add a comma or something like that, then it will error it out. But in this case, what will happen in DevOps, you have stored that configuration. So if it had worked once, so it will work at 100 time also. So it doesn't mean that it will not work. So it will reduce the cost and time in that perspective. If I talk about the continuous deployment tools, they are different deployment tools. AWS Code Deploy, Octopus Deploy, Jenkins, TeamCity, GitLab, Bamboo, Kubernetes. So using these popular tools, even we have Azure DevOps and all. These are the popular tools which is available into the market. And the list which you are getting over here are the ones majorly of open source. That means it is a free of cost, most of them. But in case of Azure DevOps and all, you have to purchase the license. So it depends upon organization to organization, and the depends upon the clients also, like if they are willing to pay how or how much they are fine with the payment. So from that perspective, we have these kind of tools. These are mostly open source, and you will also hear about most of the times about the Jenkins, because Jenkins is the old one, and most of the people use Jenkins. It's very easy to use and good to use. We will do a one demo also today. I will show you how does the Jenkins look like, how to create a pipeline into. Okay. So coming to the next slide, as I was telling you, there's a developer who has checked his code to the Git. So Git is a technology, like I told you. In a Git, could be covered up into the GitLab, or you can say GitHub, or many more. So in this diagram, as it is shown, once the developer has checked in into the GitLab, it will go to the webhook, that is the Jenkins. So webhook will tell that Jenkins that there new changes has been made into this GitLab. Now please execute the Jenkins job. So once the Jenkins job is done successfully, what it will do, it will store that package. The package, like I told you, Java will create a package like jar or var. So that package will be pushed into the JFrog Artifactory. So JFrog Artifactory is also a open source tool. So if you check it into the market, there are several other tools are also available, like Nexus, or you can also talk about Azure Artifacts. There are different artifacts available into the market, which you can use to push your packages. Why to save a packages? Because each time you run it, a new version will be created, and that version will be used for the deployment part. And why to create a different versions? Because sometimes it may happen that you want to roll it back to your code. So in that part, you can go into the file structure and roll it back. So those packages will be stored into some remote server, that will be JFrog Artifactory. Now from here, Jenkins, what does it say? Like Ansible. Ansible is a source configuration management tool. Using the Ansible, so what will happen? It will Ansible is just like a you can say it runs up a playbook. With a playbook, it has set of steps. Okay. Now that set of steps will be followed, and it will deploy onto the different servers. So Ansible will deploy that package onto the different servers. Either it could be on Microsoft, either it could be AWS, or either it could be GCP, or it could be a combination of all three. So Ansible is just a tool which will trigger, or which will do the set of tasks onto the different servers. Now coming to the next part, we have a CI/CD with GitOps. So another tool which is used over here is the GitOps. So again, what are GitOps in this? What is done? Developer pushes the code to the code repository, goes to continuous integration, publish its container registry, then it goes to the ops state repository, state sync. So this is basically in this one container registry means if you heard about Docker. So Docker is one of the containerization tool. So I will discuss about that in much more in detail in the classes which you will join. Today I will show you one of the CIC pipeline in which a Docker file will be there and Jenkins file will be there. I will just give you an overview. So that image, the Docker image will be stored into the container registries. From container registries, it will be deployed onto the Kubernetes. So this complete process keeps on running whenever someone make any changes into the code. Now, if I talk about container CI/CD pipeline, this is the CI/CD pipeline for the containers. Containers is like it's a virtualizations. So you have a you have a particular images. In that images, you have a complete set of requirements which is required to deploy that code. It is a platform independent, OS independent. It means that if you have created one container, the Docker container, that can be you can say ran into the Linux machine also, that could be ran on Windows machine also. So it is, that's why we say it's independent of the OS on which you are executing it. So if I tell you about the containers CI/CD pipeline, then what will happen? There's a developer who has pushed that code to the repository, and it will go to the build processes. It will trigger the build processes. Then there is a set of files that we call it a Docker file. In that we have set of tasks will be or steps will be executed. The commands will be executed. It will push the code into the registry. So what is a registry? It's, you can say, a directory on which you are storing up the images. It could be onto a private repository or public repository. By default, we have a Docker Hub. If you check about the Docker Hub, it is a Docker registry from where it is a public also and it is a private also. So most of the time, if people have to do some work, they take a public repository. And then combination of the public repository, if they have modified something and they don't want to reveal it to the outer world, they will push it into the private repository. So in a private repository, your data images, your data will be more secure. So that is about the Docker Hub. Now once the image registry has been saved over here, you have a deploy step. In deploy steps, you will deploy onto the environment like Kubernetes. Even we have a Docker Swarm and many more are there like OpenShift. But in this one, we are discussing about the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a orchestration tool. So like you have a different set of you can say containers or images which is in Docker. Now you want to execute into the one Docker uh, cluster, then you can use it. We will discuss more about this into the sessions. Now, this whole process can be executed with the different tools, like either it could be Jenkins, either it could be GitLab, CI, or it could be from Azure DevOps, or it could be any other things, TeamCity and all. So it depends upon you. Now the CI/CD best practices, if I talk about, so firstly, like commit early, commit often, keep the build screen. So when you are running up any of the commands or you're running up a pipeline, then your build should be green. Green means it is successful. Streamline your test. Streamline your test means you want to test your code again and again. So that is a streamline your codes. Release often, fix the broken builds, define a release and rollback strategy. So these are the ones which you usually should follow for the best practices of the CI/CD pipeline. Now, let me take you through the demo. How does the Jenkins look like? Uh, Actually, I already have this Jenkins server on my side, but there are set of steps which you can do on your side to set up a Jenkins server. So if I show you, this is one of the, these are the different, this is how the Jenkins look like. I can show you the set of tasks or the steps as well, how to set up a Jenkins server. Once you have set up the Jenkins server, you will get a same window like this. In this window, you will get a, say, a new item. In new item, let me log in again. I have Okay, so once you are into the Jenkins server, you can create a different projects. In this projects, you can create a different different items. Like if I tell you about the items, there are different type of projects or items. So in this one, it is mentioned over here into down. What is the use of each and every type? So freestyle, if I tell you the over that what's the difference between a freestyle and a pipeline. In case of freestyle, what happens in case of freestyle, if you run any pipeline, okay, now and if it stops in between, then you have to restart it from the beginning. If in case of pipeline, if your pipeline stops in between any stage, then you can execute the same pipeline from then and there. So in my example, I will take you through the pipeline. This is a pipeline, and even in interview, they will check it out. They will ask you, okay, so what kind of different types of pipeline you can write it up. So you can tell them that there are two types of pipelines which you can run create into the Jenkins. One is called a scripted, another one is called a sorry, one is called a scripted, another is called a declarative pipeline. So the difference between both of them is the way you write them and how those will perform. So let me show you the demo for today. Okay, so let me create one project, demo 2, and I will take it a project type as pipeline. So, and after this one, I will create one project. Okay. Now, as I was telling you, we have a GitHub, GitLab on which we have a Git technology, and we push the code, and from that we take up the code and run the pipelines. So this is one of the account. You can also create a free account onto github.com. This is my account. I have a set of repositories. In these repositories, I store my code, and once the code is stored over here, I can take that code from here and create a, CI pipeline. So if I tell you the overview of this one, what is the use of a version control? Why Git was introduced? Actually, in this one, version controlling means whenever someone make any changes, okay, that should be recorded that what changes has been made, when has been made. Why? Because if sometime, okay, something breaks out, or if you want to roll it back your changes, then you can check it from the version control that what changes has been made and how we can roll it back. So from that perspective, version control is very much useful. So in this perspective, I have created one of the, and we call it a version control as a repository. So in this one, I have created one of the repository known as Maven. In this, you will see there are set of steps mentioned or set of files exist. The source code is also there, and we also have the other supportive files. So this project is a Maven, the Java code. So how to identify that? So most the you can check it from the file extensions. So in this one, if you have a form XML, so there are chances, or that what chances, like you will say there are higher chances that it is a Java code. So it is a form XML. So in this form example, you have a set of steps, or you can say dependencies, which is needed for the project build. So this part is usually done by the developers. So as a DevOps engineer, you don't have to worry about it, how to write up the code. From your side, the main part will be to, if you're pushing up a code onto a Docker, or using a Docker to the Kubernetes, then you have to write a Docker file. Another part is from you have to create a Jenkins file. In Docker file, it will add a set of tasks. This is the set of tasks. If I tell you the overview, what is happening, it is taking a Tomcat server, and then from where it is taking up, it is taking from the Docker Hub. When you don't define anything, then it comes from the Docker Hub. If you define any private repository, then it will take it from the private repository. But in this case, it is taking from the public repository, and then you are running up this set of commands from here. And once the Docker file gets created, it will be pushed into the uh, Docker registries. Now, if I go back, another one which I was telling about is the Jenkins file. So whole thing in the PPT, we discussed about the CI/CD pipeline, correct? So this is a CI/CD pipeline. In this pipeline, you will see their set of stages which has been executed. The stages means set of tasks or set of steps has been performed in this particular CI pipeline. So if I tell you in this one, okay, now in this one, what is happening? First, we are taking up the code from the Git. This Jenkins file will be mentioned over there into the Jenkins project. I will show you how to do that. Now, if you have a build, build means you are building up the Java code. Once the build will be done, it will create an executable file which you will copy into the servers, and then you will run the code, and it will be deployed onto the server. Then you have a test case executions. A test case executions means then you're running up a test cases. Like I told you in the CI/CD pipelines detailing, that in a CI pipeline you run up a testing also. So in that part we are doing a test case execution. Then we are running up a sonar analysis. Sonar analysis means that you are running up a you can code coverage, you can say how you written up the code. All those things we will discuss in the under the classes. Just I am giving you an overview. Once your package has been created, then you have to store that package, the files, under the file format known as the var. Why we need a var? Because it's a Java code. So once that artifact is created, your pipeline is done. In this part, for the deployment part, I have commented for so far because we don't want to deploy anywhere. So for now, will just run up the CI pipeline. I will show you how to run up a CI pipeline from the Jenkins. Okay. Now, if I go to the back, I will take up the code from here. This is a code. I will take up a this repo, the link. I will use this link over here into this my project. I am not setting up these configurations for now. It is as it is not required, but I'm just putting up the mandatory information for now so that I can see how does the pipeline looks like once it is executed. These fields can be changed as per your requirements in later stages, but for now, just I'm taking an overview. You have a pipeline script from the SCM. So in this part, we have a pipeline script from SCM. SCM means source code management, like from where you are taking up the code. Where does your code resides? Is it in a repository or directory or location? Where does it define? So I'm saying that pipeline uh, script, first thing, the pipeline script resides where? Enter the Jenkins file. So first I'm taking a reference that my this particular steps which will execute the pipeline resides at this one. So I'm telling that this file exists over here. If you remember, I have taken the code, the link. So where does that file exist? It exists in Git. Okay. Now you have to paste up the link. This is the link of that particular repository where my Jenkins file reside. It reside over here. Now in this one credentials, for now I've created the repository as a you can say public. Even you can check this particular repository on your side because it's public. If I create a private one, then you will not able to access. But for now, you can able to access this repository. That's why I don't need any credentials. Otherwise, if you have a private repository, you need a credential. So branches to build. So over here, I will change the branches because in this one, you have a branch called main, but in this one, it is called a master. Branching strategies, what are branches? That again, we will discuss into the course. Now, once the branch specifier has been mentioned that where does it is there. So, and where the script file path is, apply. You have done the basic configuration, save. Once it is saved, you can see a pipeline has been created, but there is no pipeline has not yet in. So what will done over here, we will click on build now. Once you will click on build, you will see new uh, steps will be executed. So this is how your pipeline, CI pipeline will looks like. These are the different tasks and steps which is going to be executed, and it will show you the status if it is successful or not. If it fails, if your CI fails, it will also not go to the continuous deployment or delivery. If your complete steps are fine, they are working perfectly fine, then only it will go to the continuous deployment or delivery part. Otherwise, it will not go onto the further steps. Now in this, you can see as I've executed this pipeline. Now this pipeline will have the set of steps which I have shown you. This was the set of task and step. This got completed successfully, and now everything is executed correctly. Now, once it is done, you want to check it out its output, or even if you want to check it out its what happened, how did it ran. If you want to check the logs, you can click onto the build number on which you want to select. If you see on my left corner under the build history, you have you can see one is mentioned. So if I click on one, you will see there are a set of other options available. Console output means the set of task has been executed. If you see this particular set of task or commands, it will give you the complete logs, like what happened under these tasks, other steps. So if I show you what does it happen, cloning the remote Git repository. First, it cloned the remote repository to the Jenkins, and once it is done, it is fetching the all the details and running up the command. Once it is done successfully, then it is going for the next step, that is a Maven clean part. Maven clean is the command. This is a Java code command using for the packaging part. So this part has been used to run up the code, or you can say fresh clean, first clean up the code and rebuild it, so that the earlier if there are any issues were there, they don't contradict. So that's why we do a clean install. Now see the different logs. In these logs, a set of steps has been performed. If any issues comes into the build pipeline, okay, then you can see the logs, why it is coming, how to rectify those things. In that perspective, you can check into the logs and get in more details, and even can search on Google. You can share the logs with the person who is responsible for that. Maybe like developers uh, are writing up the code. That code is not good enough to deploy. There are some problems into that code. So in that perspective, you will first take up the logs and share it with the developers. Now you can see once this task is executed successfully, then it says build success. It goes to the next step, like test case execution. Once the test execution step was executed successfully, you see there one test runs, and that is also successful. If it would have failed, then there could be a chances that your pipeline will also fail, but in this one it passed, so that's why it moved to the next step. And the next step was to artifacts archive. Once the artifact archive is done, a package will be up and executed. Now if I tell you more about this one, in this particular pipeline, This pipeline was executed under the agents, that is a master agent. But you can also create a self-hosted agents, or you can say the nodes. What is the use of them? Instead of putting the whole pressure into the one server to run the jobs, you will put the you will mention the different agents or specific agents which will execute that job. So that will be helpful to maintain the traffic and deployment part. That is about the Jenkins. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, if we have some time, then we can discuss more about in detail if you want to look something. Prakhar, can you unmute them? If they have any question, they can ask.
Sure. Guys, I have allowed you to unmute your mic, and if you have any question, you can please ask one by one.
Hi, Jatin. How are
Yeah.
you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I have a question here. You have discussed that we have test cases execution. So, which kind of test cases we have here? Are you talking about the test scripts?
Yes, these are the test scripts which a QA team writes in a company. It could be on Selenium, or if they have some internal part, they can execute those scripts. It is basically for how it's working. So if they have some issues into that code, they can check it from that testing part. So this part, the
Okay.
testing the part usually gets written. The scripts gets written by the QA team, the developer team. So DevOps engineers don't have to worry about that. They just have to enable those tasks.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Hi Jatin. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have written one Jenkins file to add this checkout code, build, test case execution, and all right. So is there any way in this UI part to add these steps?
Yes, you can do that. Actually, why? Okay, it's a good question. Even I can tell you. Even you can do the same thing. Okay, from this particular. Let me give you some. In this project, even in pipeline project also, you can write up the script then and there. Okay, but we don't do that part over here because usually what happens, like I told you, the benefit of that Jenkins file to store into the repository was that if somebody makes any changes into that repository or Jenkins file, that will also be recorded. Okay, but what happens in case of this Jenkins server? If you make any changes into the steps, like similarly, the same steps will be copied into the project. But if you make any changes over here, it will be recorded that what changes I have made and where I have made those changes. But in case of Jenkins, if I run the same steps, it will execute. But if I make any changes into these steps, then and if I it fails and I want to recheck that what changes I have made, that I can't get to know because that has been not been recorded. So that's why it is advised to use a Jenkins file.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. So one of the guy Anand has asked me a question. There are few set of questions into the chat. Let me answer those. Anand is asking why we need GitLab and Jenkins for the same project. So Anand, like I told you, if you joined late, then also I will repeat it. What happens? The GitLab is basically used for the storing up the code. And even in the my demo part, I am using a GitHub. So in a GitLab, you have a Git technology on which you store up the code. Even you can use a GitLab for the CI/CD pipeline, but in few cases, in few companies, CI/CD tools will vary. So as a DevOps engineer, there will be little bit challenges that you have to learn multiple tools, but the basics behind all those tools work similarly. So if you have learned a one tool, if you have the basics of continuous integration and continuous deployment or delivery, then you can easily do the work onto any tool, either it is a GitLab, Jenkins, or any other tool. So in this demo, what we were doing up, we stored the code into the Git hub, and then from there we have integrated. We have created a connection between a Jenkins and the GitHub, so that if some changes will be made into the GitHub, then it will automatically trigger the this job, the Jenkins job. So that's why it is used for the one. Although Anshuman has also replied to Anand, it's good that people are participating and they are answering the questions. So the difference between the Venkatesh, between the Git and the GitLab is that Git is a technology. Okay, the Git is the one which is used for version controlling. GitLab, GitHub, or Bitbucket or Azure DevOps are the platforms. You can say these are the you can say a website or softwares on which they are providing the Git technology to work on, to store your code and all. So that's why we have a different platforms. So that is a for example, if I give you a layman example, you have a cars. Okay, cars is like a, you can say, a vehicle, but we have different companies, those build up those cars, correct? So it's just an overview which I'm giving you so that you can relate into your daily life, but that's how it works. Like cars is the vehicle, the technology, you can say, the basic, and people like different companies provide you those uh, technologies and those features will vary. So if Maruti is making any car, you will call it a car. If Tata is making any car, you will call it a car. Only features will vary. So similarly, in a GitLab, or you can say the GitHub, they are also creating the Git, the technology, but the platforms are different.
Okay, Chetan.
So
And one more suggestion. Actually, when we'll go for configuration as a code,
sorry,
which
repeat it.
scenario will go as a. I'm audible?
Yeah, yeah.
No, when they'll use Jenkins as a configuration as code.
I didn't get your question. When Jenkins will be?
No, used as a configuration as a code. Configuration as a code concept. It is there, or how will go?
Configuration as a code. You means like I didn't get your question. Like what is?
I have something. Jenkins can be used as a configuration as a code.
Yes, yes, we can use that. We can write up a YAML file into that.
Yeah, but which case, which scenario, or which case can use case can be used that one?
You can say configurations in case of like we have a Ansible. Okay, Ansible also we write up a code and we do a configuration, correct? So similarly, in this case also you can use a Jenkins. In Jenkins, you can write up a set of scripts and you can execute it. But this can be done, but I would prefer to go with the this one. You can say Ansible, because this is a agentless. In this case, you have to define each and everything. More configurations is needed onto the Jenkins side.
Okay.
Sumit was
Uh,
asking. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, Jason. I have another question. Actually, I'm working on a desktop-based application, and our developers push the code on GitHub, and I'm just taking the pull and then test it. So I'm asking that how can Jenkins help over there? Like they are continuously pushing the code. I'm pulling the code and test it. So how Jenkins help over here
So
on a desktop?
okay,
Yeah.
on a desktop part, if you are pulling up the code onto your local, okay, usually what happens in a company, there's a, let's suppose there are three QA team members, okay. If each one will have their own set of laptops, they will take up the code onto their laptops. And if you have one laptop and I have one laptop, then the configurations will vary. Correct. Some initial configuration like CPU usages, or you can say memory or dependencies will vary from one laptop to another laptop. So usually what we do, I don't know why you're testing on your side, or either it is testing on a basic level, very initial level, but once you go into the advanced level, so what happens, you instead of testing onto your local, you will test it onto a same server, the single server, like there's a tester A, tester B, tester C. So A, B, C will test the code onto a different perspective onto a same server. Okay, so in that perspective, for the continuous deployment part, now what will happen? You will deploy onto a same servers. In that deployment part, Jenkins will help you. If you are deploying it onto your local, or I mean like local means on your own laptop, in that perspective, Jenkins could be useful. It could be deployed onto your, but you will not do that because you will not change it again and again onto a Jenkins file. Jenkins file is like a whole team has to use together.
Okay, I got.
Any other question?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
I have a question. When we configure on Jenkins file, did you need to edit an extra plugins for them?
Sorry, I didn't hear you properly. After Jenkins file, what you say?
When you configure through Jenkins files, did you need to edit extra plugins or it automatically added?
Which logins actually? You want to configure some integrations?
Yeah, I want to configure on integration.
Okay, now let's take an example. Okay, in this file only, you see sonar analysis. Okay, now in this part, this part, it is called the authentication, and you are running up the script. So in this part, you have to configure it at only once. So instead of configuring it again and again from the this particular pipeline, what you will do, you will configure it once. In Jenkins only, we have a global configurations and all. So you will make the configurations into that. That is a one-time activity for integrations. Once that integration has been done, then you can reuse that steps again and again. You don't have to do this reconfiguration and authentication part again and again. But for this one, you have to give a referral that which you want to log in, or you can say authenticate. So that's part you have to do it.
Is when we configure it manually, we needed some extra plugins to edit.
Sorry, when you logged in.
When you edit manually, we configure the CICD on manual purpose.
Mhm,
It needs some plugins to edit.
mhm. Okay,
So
now it actually depends upon what software you're integrating. Okay, now in a company, if you're using a sonar cube or sonar cloud, you will have a one platform. Authentication for that platform will be same for each and every pipeline. It will not change. Authentication will be same. If there is a special cases that you have a different environment, different machines, you have like you have a different URL for authentication purpose and all, then in that case you can also add a multiple files or configurations. But in this scenario, if you have a one login ID and password for, then you can use it for multiple pipelines.
yes, I got it. Okay.
So how can do this Venkatesh? How can, for example, if you do the pipeline, correct? So whenever you want to deploy that image, correct? So or pick up some supportive softwares from the repositories. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you require the supporting software from the repository, like some images from the repository, you want to pick it up. Okay,
Mhm.
when I deploy it. Okay, so I don't want to multiple times for 10 times I'm running the pipeline. Whenever 10 times I'm committing the code, so 10 times the pipeline is running, 10 times is pulling again the same software from the repositories. Okay, so how
No,
can avoid that one? Because it will increase the pipeline performance, degrading the performance of the pipeline executions.
see, if you are running up the build pipelines again, okay,
Mm.
you will run the build pipelines only when you will make some changes into the correct.
Yeah.
And if you're making any changes into the code, then your image should also be revised. Then your image should also be overridden, correct? Because if you're making the changes, then only
No,
you
no.
will run
I
the
am
test.
sorry. I'm not asking about the application which we are working. Okay. For example, take that Java. Okay. Java, if you want to download, if you want to run the Java, correct? Java applications, you need Java SDK development, Java file, correct? Java runtime environment. GR is required, correct?
Mhm.
So every time when you go for pipelines, the GR is downloading every time, correct? So how
Mhm.
to avoid that one? Every time the pipeline execute only, I want to execute only once the image downloaded, GRE. I don't want to again connect the repository because the till again download the GRE freshly and then again installing whenever it's running the build. So how can I avoid those kind of things as part of the pipelines?
So
So
in
it's
that
time
situation,
consuming basically.
so
Yeah.
see, in that situation, what you can do, there are different agents, self-hosted agents. I am telling about the Azure DevOps, self-hosted agent and Microsoft agent. In case of this one, Jenkins, but you have the agents and pools. So what you can do, you can pre-install all those dependencies. If those dependencies and all those versions are already available, then it will not redo that process. It is already downloaded. So that will skip those all steps of downloading. If dependencies and all those things are available, then you can perform the things.
Yeah, that will come as a plugin for Jenkins plugins support software settling. So once you install, then it will not require to download. But if you go for Docker, you may show the Docker file, right? When you go for the Docker implement deployment, okay. So that time, how is it maintaining? Because the Docker will be everything, the containers will be destroyed, correct? Every time it will create and destroy it.
In that perspective, if you have a volumes, if you heard about the volumes,
Yeah,
in Docker we have a volumes. So in under those
yeah.
volumes, you can configure it. If you have installed all those dependencies on the volume, you can
Hmm.
rerun the trigger, so it will avoid all those steps.
Okay, so one time you can download and then keep it the volume, and then after that you can refer from the same locations.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Hello, hello, can
Yeah,
you hear?
yeah, I can hear you.
Actually, I have missed this seminar. Can we get a recording or something? That actually I was on outside, so I cannot able to attend.
Yes, this recordings link will be shared, and even we have the links into this chat. You can use those.
Yeah, I have one question
So
regarding for
sorry
this one.
to interrupt in between. We'll be uploading this recording on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and access the recording of the webinar. In couple of hours, we'll be uploading this recording on our YouTube channel. So YouTube channel link will be provided to you over the chat window.
Okay, sir, I have one question regarding for Jenkins. Actually, Jenkins we have installed two way. One is the already we have MSI. We can install Jenkins direct, and one way we have installed in the Tomcat, right? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, when my application is running from direct in Jenkins, it is running, so it is not able to open the application. So when I'm going to Tomcat managed service, then I'm able to open the application. So what is could be reason for this one?
Uh,
I- Did you
Maybe
get my,
one of the reason could be like maybe the server on which you have deployed it, that file is no longer the directory has been lost. So when you run it onto a virtual machine, a Jenkins folder gets created, and under Jenkins folder we have a Jenkins, you can say project. Maybe that was deleted from that directory.
No, it is Jenkins folder. It is there. Everything is there. When try to open the application through the pipeline job, so I cannot able to open the application. And when we are doing through the managed service, look like we are starting Tomcat server, then we are able to open.
Uh, Actually, I have to see that part. These troubleshooting parts usually differs from one project to another, or maybe configurations. So, if you will join the classes, we can discuss on that more in detail with the screen share part.
Yeah. And one more thing, sir, I have, sorry for asking the question. One more thing, suppose we have managed services there. Suppose we have master and slave right configuration, and because of a slave server went down, so I want to do the automatic because my server went down. So again, I have to take this one secret file, and we have to run right in the slaves, right?
Yes.
So I want to do the automatic because when server went down, again we have to copy for this file, right? Again we have to paste in the server in the slave server. So manually I don't want to do.
In that case, you can use a Ansible, you can use an Ansible playbook. You can write those, and you should have the content. So you will run the Ansible playbook. You can use it. Through that configurations, you can do that part.
But what I have done, because I'm running on the this one Windows. So what happens? I have done the task scheduler, but when using about task scheduler, so I have given the file, secret file, all the things, whatever manage, and then we're trying to. It is I'm able to connect, but when trying to open the application, it is not opening.
Actually, I have to see that part. I can answer it right now. It's your one. We can discuss it about in the classes. We can share the screen and we can discuss it better. Or you can contact me individually. We can look into it.
Okay, how will contact? Okay, okay, sir.
Hello, Jatin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I have currently have a 2.8 years of experience in mainframe, but I want to switch my career into DevOps. So I'm not sure how to do that, and because learning all the technologies is easy, but cracking the interviews for experienced roles is, I think, it's a bit of difficult task. So I just wanted your guidance on how can I do this.
Okay, if
Thank you.
I tell you, this is the same experience I had. Let me explain, share my experience. I started my career as an application support analyst, and then I got a chance to work as a DevOps engineer. And if I tell you for learning perspective, you have to go with several tools. Learn about basic the CI/CD pipelines. Then I would say if you are going for learning, first select some tools, okay, and try to figure out more about those tools more in detail. If you get proficient into those tools, then move ahead. Uh, and if you talk about CI/CD, okay, the basic things. If you understand the concept of CI/CD pipeline, the Git and all, so it will be
Yeah.
similar
Yeah.
in each and every one. If I talk about these tools, like I show you few of the tools today, correct? These were the list
Yeah.
of tools. Uh, those tools work on a same concept, only the features vary. So it depends upon you, uh, how it. I even in my life, I have worked on several tools. Each day it's a learning day. So when you join a DevOps world, you should be encouraged that you will learn something new every day. So keep on learning. There are several tools you have to learn. That's what I can say. If you want
Okay.
to build
Okay.
your career into DevOps, just start learning what is content integration, what are the tools, how to
Yeah.
how to work on them, then start working on those. And
Okay.
last part I would say, instead of
Yeah.
theory, go with the hands-on activity. The only way to learn and grow is the hands-on activity. No,
Yes.
nothing else can make you perfect than the hands-on activities.
Okay. I've done some personal projects on AWS code pipeline, AWS code commit. So I've deployed my applications and enabled CI/CD on them. But I've not used Jenkins and the other things like Kubernetes and Ansible. So like, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. So it's fine. The tools which you are learning on, keep on learning, and you when you get a time, at least try to explore the other tools as well. Like what are the basics of it, what are the interview questions of it, and you can keep on learning. Once you are done with one tool, take the same tool and try to explore what is going on into those. So that is how you will grow.
All right, sir. All right, Jitin. Thank you. I got it.
Sir, for SecOps, you are using any tools, sir? Are you taking for SecOps any tools?
For security part, we have several tools. So I, I have to check that which is covered into this topic, the course. They might have shared you the content. So I have to recheck. We will, if they have the topics, we will cover up with the DevOps.
So which tool are we are using for this one, SecOps, for image scanning?
So image scan. I have to see that over.
Aqua is there. We are using for Aqua something. Aqua
I
Sec.
have to. I will check with my team which we are using. So in my company we are several, like ECR is there, and we also have the ACR. They, and by default also Azure provides
Not
you the.
ACR, no, I'm scanning for this one, scanning the image. ACR, that is repository, right? For the scanning
Yeah.
the image.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you are asking about the scanning tools.
Yeah, scanning image. Just like
Yeah.
Sonar is there. This one.
Yeah. There's a white source board, and then we will also use a Qualys. Qualys is one of the tool which we can use it, and Dive is also one. Yeah. If you heard
So
about
after the course
Aqua
completion,
Is one of them.
Yeah, Aqua. We are using for Aqua, but still we didn't get any license person.
Yeah, there are multiple. So actually depends upon company to company. Aqua, Falco, Dacta.
So if you scan the image, if any vulnerability is there, so whom shall I give this report to? Shall will give to report to the developer? Yeah, whom shall I will give this report?
Again, I would say depends upon company to company. Basically, sometimes developers or DevOps people are enough capable to solve on their side. If they don't have, then you can. Depends upon the message what vulnerability we are having. So I can't answer this one. We can discuss on that part depending upon the messages, the reports.
Oh yeah. So 45 scan we cannot use here, right? So 45 scan like that.
I truly speaking, I haven't worked on that, but Aqua Security I have worked on, Falco I have worked on.
For image scanning, sir, correct?
Yes.
It is part of this DevOps course because it is high. Just I'm sorry for asking that one. It is high level.
Prakar, can you answer this one?
Yeah, sure. So please share your contact details, my team will reach to you and share all the curriculum with you, and that will clear you all your doubts.
Which
Chetan.
cloud will you use, sir?
So I think, guys, we are having shortage of time. This session is till 9 only, and I know that some of your queries might be unattended. You can, provide your number or the contact detail over the chat windows to us. We'll definitely get in touch with you as soon as possible.
Madam, I have
So
joined the
guys,
from mobile.
yeah.
I'm not able to see my in the laptop the meeting request.
Okay, so you can drop your contact details. Our team will get in touch with you for all
Where
your
can I do
queries,
this in the mobile
whichever you
here?
have. There is a chat
Yeah,
window option which is available on the mobile, on the laptop, both.
I discussed this is our last questions. So what about the job assurance? Are you arranging any job assurance, job opportunities once the course is completed?
Okay, so we provide definitely provide the job assistance once you join the
Okay.
course, and yes, definitely job assistance is always there. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. So, guys, I think we should conclude the session now. Thank you all for attending this. We appreciate you being here. Every month, we are conducting such webinars. So, you guys can follow us on the LinkedIn and Facebook to get the latest update on the upcoming webinars. Also, please provide your valuable feedback to us on Google reviews and Trustpilot. This will not take much of your time, just 2 minutes of your time, and you can provide us the feedback on these portals. And this is really gonna help us a lot. One more thing, I
Madam,
have
I've shared my
shown.
number also.
Yeah,
Can we get the
pardon.
recording of session?
Yeah,
I have shared
recording of
my
this session. Okay, we'll get in touch with you. Recording of this session is available on our YouTube channel in within couple of hours, so you can refer to that. Guys,
Can you tell
we
me
have
the
an
name of
instant discount. One more announcement is there. We have an instant discount running only for the webinar day. So people who are interested in joining our course can avail this offer. We have this offer for 10% instant discount on the course fees. So you can visit the link which has been provided to you over the chat window, and you can get the instant discount on the course fees which we are offering. So
how much madam
that's a
fees?
pardon.
How much fees is it?
Pardon? It's $266 USD.
No, no, I'm from India this time.
Sagan, can you answer this?
Can you please
Hi,
tell me
Gyan.
the YouTube channel
So
name?
the actual cost of the program is $295, which is roughly around 21,000 something. I mean, if you want to convert it, and after 10% discount, it is $266. So which is roughly around I think, if I'm not wrong, around 19 or 18,000 rupees.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a basic question from Jatin. So,
Check. All right, minute.
hello.
Can we just a quick one, because we're concluding the session. If you have any questions, I'm just going to type in the email address of our team, and you can send all your questions in and they will be answered. So it's training@devopsuniversity.org.
Okay. Thanks.
Can you tell me the YouTube channel name?
Prakar, please share the YouTube channel link over the chat window.
That's all boy.
Sir, can you help us mute everyone? We are having background noises, and if anybody has no questions, I mean, we can, I think, conclude.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for attending the session.
Thank you, everyone.